Hi, my name is Melissa Ford, and I'm a parent educator and a parent coach. I made this video for parents, moms and dads, who have kids who are now teenagers. So whether your son or daughter is in middle school, high school, or beyond, this is to help you learn how to develop a deeper, more loving connection with your child, particularly during those times when it seems like it's impossible. I also have kids. I have a son now who's 22, and I have a daughter who's 21. And I had the same sort of problem that parents that I coach now with teenagers had when my kids were teenagers, which was they were kind of losing interest in me. They weren't interested in my advice anymore. They didn't seek me out to interact with me or talk to me or ask what I thought. They were more interested in spending time with their friends, and they definitely had their own opinions, which were very different than mine. When I work with parents whose kids are now in this age, they'll often say to me, so what do I do to keep that rapport, to keep developing a connection with my child? So there's many different things that you can do, but one of the most powerful ways is to really pay close attention to how do you listen to your child, right? So when my kids were teenagers, and even a little bit before that, 5th and 6th grade, so close to entering the teen years, I started to really pay attention to how do I listen to my kids? What am I doing that's not inviting them to come and interact with me, encouraging them to come and speak to me? What am I doing? So I started paying attention to my listening styles. And of course, there were some listening styles that I wasn't too happy to find. One of them was pretend listening. Often I'd be busy multitasking and I wasn't really paying attention, even though I liked to feign that I was by nodding or agreeing. But honestly, I really wasn't tuned in. I didn't know what they were saying. Another form of listening that I would do was when my daughter would come to me and she'd have a problem or a concern, say it was a social issue. I was only listening with the intention of fixing and solving her problems. I hadn't a hidden agenda, and it really wasn't to hear what she had to say. It was to fix her problem because I was so uncomfortable with her unhappiness. And then the final way that I really saw that didn't work when I listened to my kids was lecturing. Again, it was a hidden agenda. My kids would start talking, say my son would come to me and start talking, and I would hear him say something that I absolutely didn't agree with. So I would do everything that I could to convince him to see it my way. And of course, I'd get one of two reactions. I'd either get, leave me alone, stop lecturing, I know what you think, or the curtain would drop over his eyes, and I'm sure you know that look, and he would just shut me out. So he was totally disinterested in what I was having to say, even though he was pretending to listen. So he was using one of my styles. So here's what I want to offer to you. It's a very unique way of listening to your kids. It's probably not a way that you're really comfortable with or maybe even do a lot. Even with that said, be open to it, experiment with it, see what you think about it, see what the benefits are to you and to your child, and give it a try. Here it is. There are 3 components to this way of listening. The first one is to be present, to be absolutely here right now listening to your child and curious about what they have to say. So it's the complete opposite of the pretend listening. You're not multitasking. You've made the decision to really hear what they have to say, and you're not thinking about the past or worrying about the future. So that's the first component. The second one is to be non-judgmental. Now that may sound like a really tall order, and it does take practice. But what that means is that as you listen to your son or your daughter, refrain from viewing what they think, say, do, want as bad or wrong. Just really be open to hearing what they have to say. All right, so that's non-judgmental. The third and final component is to be accepting. And that's a little bit different than non-judgmental because when you're accepting, you're really deciding that wherever your child is at, in terms of how they think, they feel, what they're saying, what they're doing, is okay. So for instance, if your daughter comes to you and she's expressing a concern about friends, you may know full well that you don't want her to have any problems with her friends, but it's okay that she's there. She's going to learn something. She's going to figure it out. She's going to be fine. And when you're okay and you accept where your child's at, then you're not going to jump in to fix or solve. You're really going to listen to what they have to say. So what are the benefits? There are many, and it really depends on the type of child you have. So for the purpose of this video, let's just say there's two types of kids, even though we know there's not. But let's say one is the type of kid who loves to come and talk to you. Like, this child will be open to you and share what's going on in their lives. So if you have a child like that, if you choose to be present, accepting, and non-judgmental, what will happen is that you're going to learn more about what it is that's going on in their life, and you're not going to jump in to fix or solve their problem. So this was the way that my daughter was. Pretty typical of a female. She's going to come, she's going to open up, she's going to talk to me, but instead of me fixing her concern, I'm going to listen. And what happened as a result of listening to her this way is that I started to realize that she was becoming a problem solver. She was able to figure this out on her own, and she often came up with solutions that were very different than the solutions I would have come up with if I had solved the problem. But they fit her, they worked for her. So she developed confidence, she felt really good about herself, she knew she was a problem solver. She sought me out so that she would have a sounding board and she could work through whatever concern was. And even now, to this day, when she's away at college, she will call me for the purpose of having me listen in this way so she can work through a problem she's experiencing, which I can't think of anything better that you might want for a child, which is to really realize they have the power to do this. So that was my daughter. Now, the other type of child I like to call the monosyllabic grunter, which is my son. You know, you ask the question, how was your day? And you get, you barely get a response. So with kids like that, how do you get them to open up and want to talk to you? The best way is with this listening style, because you're not going to lecture, you're not going to give advice, you're not going to try to convince them that they're not seeing things the right way. You're really going to hear what they have to say. And they're going to know it. And after a while, they're going to seek you out, because every time you listen to your child this way, they get clearer about what is going on for them. They're able to come up with their own solutions. My son very much felt validated and respected by me when I listened to him in this way. And as a result, I had this amazing connection with this kid, which is really what I have today with both of my children, because I practiced this enough. And again, it does take practice. I was able to create a strong foundation for now their adult relationships, our adult relationships. Parents ask me, when do I do this and how often do I practice this? Well, the first thing is, do it whenever you want. So maybe that's once a day for 5 minutes. Maybe that's once a week. Whenever you want to do it. And find times where you're really interested in being present and listening with an accepting and non-judgmental attitude. You might not even find yourself talking. You'll just really be keyed in and zoned in to hear what they have to say. So it could be when you're driving your teenager somewhere. Maybe it's right after dinner. Maybe it's when they come to you with a concern. And you say to yourself, when my child comes to me with a concern, I'm going to practice listening in this way. So whenever you want to do it. When you do practice it, do it for short periods of time, because it's a very different listening style. And then also, don't throw out all the other ways that you listen. They're good too. Whatever works for you, keep doing it. But add this into your repertoire. Try this. See what you think. Allow yourself to practice this new way of listening. I think you'll be amazed at the reconnection you'll develop with your son or your daughter. When you do it, cut yourself some slack. If it feels unnatural at first, it is. Just keep practicing it. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach me. You can reach me at my website, which is empoweredparentingsolutions.com. I wish you the best in your parenting and enjoy your teenagers.